Hi, Tom.
I don't like Devin. Hey, Devin.
What's up?
Hi.
Hey, Devin, what is that picture of?
It's a toad.
I
Okay.
was dying.
All right.
I'm here.
Yep, I hear you.
I'm on
Man.
my desktop this time, so you're able to actually hear me now.
Okay. Um, Let me just get everybody set up on this end here. All right.
Ow. No.
Hold up. There we go. Should be better now. Oh, did I just freeze? Come on.
Oh no, it was Waluigi.
Who is that?
Chris.
Slide there. Not live over there. Oh, now it's moving. Okay. Give myself permissions here.
I'm hungry. Devin, you haven't answered my question.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. It's not going so good.
Well, what's your answer?
Yes.
No. Okay, everyone. Oh,
As long as you know, all of us can hear you, right?
Yep.
yes.
So I'm on mute.
I'm asking everyone. Ready? Hold on. Where's the question? What file systems will be automatically mounted at boot time? So I typed in cat / etc / fstab fs tab, whatever. And I just don't understand what came up. Like it's a bunch of stuff.
What'd you type in? Cat what?
Cat space / etc / fs tab.
Literally spelled out FS tab.
FSTAB.
Yep.
Cat / yeah. Yeah, like I don't understand what that means.
I do not get that.
And yes, the question is what file systems will be automatically mounted at boot time? my friend told me that each hash symbol represents a file system or something. Let me see. Each line is a file system unless it starts with a hash. Never mind, which would make it a comment.
Right. Well, I mean, I see the unique, universally unique identifier that's getting mounted. It's along.
So is the answer that?
Well, it's going to the boot EFI root directory. I would have to ask somebody else that because to be honest, I actually can't answer that off the top of my head.
It's difficult. I don't like it.
Yep. All right. So for those of you, well, let's see, we're still early. I'm going to let it just sit here because class starts in about 4 or 5 minutes. And
Dang, I'm gonna go get food because I feel like I'm dying.
don't die. You've got 4 minutes, 3 minutes,
Okay,
3.3 minutes.
be right back.
Remind me to turn the record on too. My last class, I kind of forgot that. Started about 15 minutes into the class. Oops. Well, if I don't, if I start it when I first start up, I get 15 minutes of dead air. Let's see if this looks better. If I share that application instead. Well, that's a lot better, isn't it? Well, except I think as all right, well, let me go ahead and do attendance. See who's here. Who's not even close to being here. Okay, Amanda Austin. Devin, you're on, right?
Yes, I am.
And Amanda Diaz is on. Gage? Aaron Weston is here. JT? Matthew? Noah is here. Noah, I hear you're our work study.
I am, so if you got anything you need done, let me know.
Do.
Good, I need the hours. Let me know.
Isaiah, Zarvi, Brian, Tyler, Kelvin, Billy, Christopher, and at long last, Franklin. One, two, oh, that looks like the 5 people. All right, so there's a couple of things going on. One is, I've put in a homework assignment, and I think it's what I'd like you to work on for next Tuesday. So forget doing the next chapter in the modules.
I'm ready to learn. Which module are we on?
I'd have to look in the syllabus myself.
We finished 5.
So we should be finished 5. So what I want you to do is don't move on. There is a homework assignment. Pass it out to the 2 that are here. It's on myemcc.edu. It's the only one in there. If you look under coursework.
Okay.
And there are 8 of the plain old generic commands. I picked one for you. So your name's down at the bottom. So you need to find the one that's got your name, and I want you to research it. I want you to become fully familiar with that one particular one. You know, and we've got grep. Thought that one was a good one. We got grep. We got, I don't remember what order, you know, lists. We've got, what else we got? You know, man is on here. Oh, find, file, date. A couple of you have to look up what meta characters are and how they impact everything. And I know this is old stuff, but looking at homeworks, I have my concerns, so I wanted us to do this. Apt, somebody spent a little time on the VI editor, and then man and apropos I put together because they're almost the same.
Hold up. Do you judge by the amount of time spent?
Judged by the amount of time spent.
Like, you can see how long people spend.
You mean on the
how well
whole?
we present?
Oh, yeah. So what I would like you to do, because it's the requirement is that you, let's say you've got grep, and you're going to need to go through there, and you're going to need to make a few slides on a PowerPoint presentation that say, hey, grep, this is what grep does. I don't want just a copy of the manual, because the manual is hard to read as anything else. I want you to turn that into fairly standard English. So, you know, a good example would be, you know, if I'm going to use the man command, well, what is it for? Okay, it's to access the manuals. Put a couple of examples, you know, so that if I put in, keep pulling up the green one, it's, you know, so for the man, it would be a couple of good examples of the man, you know, grep. There, you know, that's going to give me the manual for grep. If I do man, you know, 2, but not 2, sorry, no, none of those, grep, you know, what's that do? You know, walk me through some of the basic steps that make up what that particular command is. I can also do, you know, man, we had this as a homework assignment, -K, grep, which is going to tell me which manuals have the term grep in them. So all of those, you know, if you do a really good job, you might have 5 slides, you know, that would help us walk through this. And on Tuesday, I should have one PowerPoint uploaded, because it's an upload assignment, uploaded to myemcc.edu for the one that you're assigned to. And then I can pick those at random and just throw them up on the screen, and we can walk through what some of those commands are. The reason I'm asking you to do this is because it'll help you become a little more familiar with at least one of these at the kind of depth that is available. Right on this, and the instructions are the same online as they are for what I just passed out. Go watch a couple of YouTube videos on grep or using man or apropos. What are the meta characters in Linux? If you're online on Google or on YouTube, you know, so I'm in YouTube, and I'm going to say, what are Linux meta characters? And I would bet you would find a bunch of videos that people have made. Maybe you might want to find the ones that aren't an hour long and more in that 3 to 8 minute kind of length. But those will be out there and on there. I'm not going to tell you which ones to go find. You need to start learning how to search for help files. You can go to Google and type the exact same thing in, and then find some websites that talk about it. One thing you'll find when you search on like a Google or a Bing or a Yahoo or whatever, is that half the time, especially with Linux, you're going to be dropped into discussion forums. And those can be more helpful and less helpful at the same time. Because a discussion room can get into some really esoteric nitpicking about how you're supposed to construct it, which is really good if you've been doing this for a while. It's probably really frustrating if you're brand new to it, because they're going to be talking about the difference between using a single quote, double quote in this particular circumstance at the end of a command line that's got 18 different components in it. And all you want to know is, how do I use grep? Not how to make it only find the word "the" in a text file that's redundantly shared with the following user, and it doesn't have the word Bob in it. You can do all of that with the grep command. Everything that you can do on a search line in Windows or Linux, you can do with most of these different commands. This is what generates the things that you use in a graphical user interface. So by having those and starting to understand, oh, if I do that in this format, that's exactly what I get when I search in a Windows file directory, and I go up to the search bar and I'm looking for a particular file or information in a particular file. Like, gosh, when's the last time I typed in, Dear Mrs. Smith? And it's going to go out and look for probably Word documents that have Dear Mrs. Smith in it and find those files. That's done with these commands as well, or at least some of it. I'm not going to say all of it. So please, none of these can be aptly explained in one PowerPoint slide. But I don't want you to feel like you've got to generate 20 PowerPoint slides. I would think most of these, if you did 5 or 6, and the kind of things that you're going to be looking at is, what does it do? What variables can I add? Now, for the meta characters, you don't have any variables. That's more of an explanation of how I use meta characters in all of these. Meta characters are things like the slashes and the percentage signs and the quotes and single quotes and asterisks and so forth. Those are all the meta characters, but they play an important role in all of the command lines. What variables can I add? What does it do? How to use it would be, particularly for the VI editor, that would be an important one. So how do I get that to open? You know, if you're doing a find command, what does it do? Well, does it find files or directories, or does it find something in a file or a directory? That's an important characteristic to make. What are the variables? So what can I put behind it so that I can restrict that? Remember, most of this stuff, if you've got it on your server, you could find a boatload of stuff if you got thousands of files on there. If I went on to the the email server for Bangor Savings Bank or something, I always like to pick on them, and typed in "Dear Mrs. Smith," find that, I might find hundreds and hundreds of responses over the last 15 years. Why? Because over the last 15 years, they've sent umpteen thousand letters to "Dear Mrs. Smith," or you pick something. So you've got to be able to limit it down. I can limit it down by date range, I can limit it down by user, limit it down by type of file, and start doing that. So that's your homework assignment for Tuesday. I also wanted to spend a little bit of time. I've graded the first two, actually I think I've done the first 3 modules, but not many people have done module 3 yet. Some of you have plowed right through, and some of you are, well, you may have done the quizzes, but not the discovery discovery exercises. So don't forget to finish those. I have graded some, and what I'm doing is I'm grading them as accurately as I can. If it feels like you missed the boat, then you get a really low score, but you should go back in and try it again. I would rather you get to know it. So if you find you got, well, I got a 20%, it's up to you. Do you move on, or do you go back and take a look at it? I haven't posted these online yet, but eventually I will, kind of hoping you'll figure it out. I'm going to go through a couple from those 2 modules, 2 and 3, that people were having a lot of trouble with. And that way you can get a little bit of an idea of, maybe how you can do it a little more successfully. So module 2, one of the exercises, I need a mouse here. One of the exercises there said, here's a bunch of commands and why don't they work, or what's wrong with them. Pretty easy. If you just typed them in, echo this command does not work. And it says,
Quick question.
yeah. So
sorry for interrupting. Quick question. So did you grade the discovery exercises in 3 yet?
I thought I did. I'll have to go look.
Okay, because it says that I'm like redoing it, but I already submitted something and I don't want to redo it, but there's no way I can back out. So just let me know.
Yeah, I don't know why it says redoing it. If it doesn't have a score, it may be that I haven't finished grading 3. But I thought I had, but I'll take a look at it after class. So echo, in Linux, everything is case sensitive. So most of people caught that. Capital E echo, it's not a command, it doesn't exist. So you would just do echo and then whatever the message was, and it's going to spit it back out. And you can pronounce, good for you. Now, the next one that they gave you was date-z, and there is no such thing as a -z after date. And I know I'm running a Linux that might be a little bit different. This one's got Mint on it. On this one, the 2 Z commands, that are available are date, and then it gets a little fun. You got to do plus %, little z, and that gives you the number of hours past Greenwich Mean Time. Or you could do date plus capital Z, and it gives you that we're in the Eastern Standard Time. Or I could do date plus %A, gives us that it's a Thursday. So there's a whole series of commands. You know, and if I do a little A, it's a little Thursday. So why does this look so different than the kind of things we would put after, say, a grep or a man? Anybody know? What's different about date versus man?
Is date just a function and man more like a directory or full file or something?
Yep, so man is a command that has a whole series of command line infrastructure that's available to it. And date is a more universal, piece. And of course, we can always do man date. We can mandate it. Sorry. And then if we look at that, you can see that you can go down and look at a number of options. So the format controls the output. So you can do both these. But under the description, under the formats, under this top section, a lot would depend on what you want to do it, but if you do a file, then you're going to have to put in a date file that is relevant, or the file for actually I'll have to try that one. I haven't done it in a while. You can do date. Let me quit out it. Wish I had two of these here. Date. This date -f test log. Ooh, that didn't like that one at all, did it? Sorry, -r. Date -r test log. There we go. So, there's an example of a straightforward command, the -r. But if I want to know information about the general system date and time, then I'm going to end up using the date plus the format issues, and then I'm trying to remember what the one for all is. If I just want everything, I put date. And everything that you see in the date there is available. The Thursday, the date, January 31st, the time, Eastern Standard Time, the year, all of those are available if you wanted them. Which also means that they're available during different forms of searching that you can get. So, it's almost useless to search for something that had a particular date and time, because you would have to already have found the file to look at the date and time to get an exact string that represented 12:06:37 for a time. But if I knew that the last date that this file was accessed was on January 31st, then I'd be able to search for that and have a little bit better control of it. Anyway, so that was the date one. Apropos man-k, that had as soon as you type apropos and man, you're done. So you get the exact same readout, which is that it's going to find every place in the set of manuals that has the term man. The -K doesn't matter. I can also do this, apropos -K, keyword search for man. Same thing. So it's a nonsensible string of commands. I can either do apropos man, or I could even do man-K apropos. And the only place it's showing up is in the manual for apropos. So I could do man apropos, and there's the help section for apropos. The difference between apropos is that its default is to do a keyword search, and man's default is to open the manual for the next thing that's in your list. So, you know, that's why there's a slight difference between that. Okay. Any questions so far? Help on date. I know, Amanda, you got this one, you know, spot on. It's not a standard command that needs a that has a help file. So, you know, we can do help man. That one doesn't have it either. Help. Fine, be that way.
I think grep has one.
Yeah. That.
No, never mind.
So, yeah. Help. There you go. So you can actually get a help on the help. And, you know, so if you can't look up date under help, then you can go to man help, and you, well, info help. Oh, sorry, I was trying to do it for date. Manual date, and there gives us all of the information about doing date, but we already were in there. So that just had to do with the fact that you were using one of the three things that you have available, which is the help, the info, or the manual. And in the case of date, info date also has a section. So I could have used info, or I could have used manual, but not both.
Why is it whenever I type in grep man, something weird happens? So rather than man, grep.
Oh, come on. All right, who remembers how to get out of info? I think it just scrolls all over. Reset and clear. No, that even doesn't do it.
New terminal window time?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I have to do, but I'm gonna have to reshare them.
Oh, every time you close a terminal, you have to reshare?
Well, because in order to make it bigger, I'm resharing just that window,
Gotcha.
not. Okay, there, it should be back up. Otherwise, it's a lot smaller. So I'm going to do this because it always bothers me, man info. So let's find out how to get out of it. Bunch of examples, but someplace in here. Bugs covered, see also. Is it not up at the top? I didn't see it up at the top. You got me. I do not know why it fails to give you a, I mean, if you're in a manual page, Q gets you out. But if you're an info page, this particular one isn't letting me out. So, all right, next one was shutdown -C now. So there's two things that I got a lot of from people was, it didn't do anything. And the answer is, yes, it did. It just didn't do anything because there were no shutdown commands to cancel. So shutdown-C is the cancel any previous shutdown commands. If you remember, you can set shutdown with a time to shut it down at a later period. And that way you can be running on a computer that's got a clock ticking down waiting to close this machine out. And when that clock runs out, you're going to get shut out and shut down. So if that's happening in the background, you can do that. There is no now command that goes with the shutdown cancel. Cancel is immediate. So it wouldn't, really make any sense to do shutdown in 15 minutes or cancel a shutdown in 15 minutes, because if the shutdown was anything less than 15 minutes, you'd still shut down. So if we do this, it just did, it executed the shutdown C command. There's just nothing to shut down. Now we had an echo. I would like lots of, and you'll see what happens. Well, if you look on the screen, boy, it's running slow, sorry. Let it catch up. Oh.
It gives some weird stuff. I don't even understand it.
Yeah, hold on. It just tossed me out of Zoom and it's relogging back in.
Dang.
I know. This is thinking about it.
It just kicks me out as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna. Oh.
So they're promoting that now as well, which is nice.
Well, it says I'm connected on the internet, but
I'm connected to no internet right now.
oh. All right, we're back on.
I'm back.
I'm gonna go give myself permissions again. Oh, I know what happened. Well, one possibility of what happened. All right, let's see if this works. Open terminal, there's the terminal, share the terminal. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. So if you look what happened when I typed in echo, I would like lots of $, $. This is where the meta characters come in, and $sign is a meta character. It's reserved for other uses. I honestly don't know where 2001 comes out of $2. The third $sign is still being represented by a $sign. I'd have to look more into that. But if we want to be able to print or echo back on the screen then what we can do is a single quote. I would like lots of. What that does is it tells us there are meta characters inside this string. Would you please just print them as the ASCII characters that they are? So we can get around that by just doing that. It gets more complicated the more complicated you are trying to embed meta characters inside meta characters. Like, how would you then do, well, put the meta characters inside of these meta characters so that they don't do this other thing with, and it would be be a really good thing to do in a Word document, really bad thing to do on a command line. But there are hierarchies that you can do to get around all that. And there's a section in the module 2 that specifically talked about meta characters and their hierarchy. So if you ever need to refer back, just go to module 2, and it's towards the beginning. All right, and the last one that we had was man 8 date. And you put some of these sentences together and it just doesn't sound right, but so there is no section 8, which is the root section of a manual, and therefore you don't get anything. But we could do man 1 date, and we get the information that you find in the first section. Quit out of there, we could do man 2 date, and there isn't anything. So the only information available in the manuals, I'm going to do man. And there's the 9 sections that you'll see. So when we asked if there was a section 8, system administrative commands only used for root, there aren't any. So that's why it came up blank. There's also no system call, library calls, special files, file format conventions, although there might be. Man 5. Anyway, so those were the things I wanted to talk to you about module 2. And then we had module 3. So module 3 said, you are the system administrator for a scientific research company that employs over 100 scientists who wrote and run Linux programs to analyze their work. All of these programs are stored in each scientist's home directory on the Linux system. One scientist has left the company and you are instructed to retrieve any work from that scientist's home directory. When you enter the home directory for that user, you notice that there are very few files and only 2 directories, one named projects and one named lab. List the commands that you would use to navigate through the user's home directory and view file names and file types. This brings up a totally different quasi-unrelated question from an IT perspective. And that is what they call outboarding. You have onboarding and outboarding of new employees or old employees. And so when a new employee comes in, you have to set them up with their username, their passwords, give them allocated file space, emails, you name it, you get that all set up. When they exit, it's just as important to close out their material and either transfer it to another user so that the information isn't lost, archive it, clean it, do whatever it wants to be. But at an absolute minimum, you have to take their access off. We had this happen one time, and a worker literally deleted every file several weeks before they quit. Every one of their files, and so it was really annoying. And after that, we signed up for the recursive backup program from Google, which cost you more money. But same thing goes here. So the first thing is, wow, here's somebody who's been here with 5 years. They've only got 2 directories. Why? You know, is the stuff gone? Did they go in and delete it? In which case you'd have to go to an older backup to see if that information is there. Most people who do that, if you went back even just a week or two, you'd probably find information. But maybe they didn't do that. Maybe some of it's in hidden files that they set to not be visible. And so we can look at how you get around those. Do the command -bs blood sugars. There you are, right? All right, so, you know, the first thing, let me clear this. First thing, where are we? We're right down there at home/tbickford. Well, tbick off. Boy, I wish I had set that up properly. It's going to bug me forever. I know. Now we could go in here and administration is the users. Users and groups. So I'm the only one in there. I'm gonna, ooh, you know what I can do? I'll bet you I can edit. Can I? No. We're gonna add a new user, make them a standard user. Builder. What?
That may be happening again. I know.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. Also, yeah, Zoom isn't on anymore. Okay, well, the screen is shared, even though the video's back on. So what I was doing, and I apologize because we got a little, I'm going to go back and do it. I've shared my entire desktop this time. So if I go down, and this is Linux Mint, it'd be similar to in others, and I'm going to go to admin controls, and I'm going to go to very bottom, users and groups. I have to put in my password because it's asking if I'm an administrator. And if you looked at me, then you'll notice the account type is administrator. But I'm going to add somebody else. I'm going to add a new one with just standard permissions. And Bob Barker. I know it's Bob the Builder, but and the username will be B Barker. Add. So now we have a new user. No password set. I'm not going to go in and delete. Oops. Sorry, close this out. The only reason why I did that was now I'm going to go back to the terminal. So remember, I did a PWD, showed me I'm in the tbickford. I'm going to go back one more and do a list. And now you see both Bob Barker and tbickford are in that file directory. So I'm going to change to Bob Barker. And there's nothing in there. Make some directories for the fun of it, right? So I need to change to root. Oh shoot, what is it? To change to a root directory. There we go. Hopefully. Yep. So now I should be able to say, make directory documents. Oh, and the password fails. That's good.
So clearing the terminal just doesn't clear it, it clears the screen. You have to reset the terminal to clear everything, correct?
Well, I'm just finding this highly annoying. I need to switch to root directory. Let me close this thing. Go back to where I was. I'm trying to solve that answer, the question we had. All right, that is the password. All right. Well, that didn't change it.
No, yeah, it's still.
Well, don't you love it when new things pop up? That just okay. So anyway, they we'll stay in this one, my directory, my line, and so if we do a list, we got our desktop downloads, documents, music tube, pictures, and all of that, along with a couple of log files that we just made, and those log files are just text files. So some of the things it asked you is, what would be some of the commands that you use to go through the home directory? Now, first of all, change directory to B. Barker. I'm sorry. Would have been to just change directory to the home and that user. We don't really need to be there. Change directory to preferred. So we're back where we want to be now. One of the questions was, all right, well, what's available? Well, there's that. Well, what about if we do a list all, then it's going to show all of the stuff that was hidden, which will have that dot in front of it, period, which indicates that it's a hidden file. So that would be one of the first things that we can look for. Now notice it's going to have things like the cache. It's also going to have log out histories, bash histories, and a few of the other logs that are specific to Linux Mint that have nothing to do with you, the user, interacting with it. We might also want to do a ls, list all files by file type, and now it puts in the slash. I'm going to go back to sharing this. There it is. Share this, share. Okay. Great. When it crashed, it stopped the recording too. Well, I'm almost done, so I'm not going to start. So, you might want to just look to see whether or not it's a file or an executable or specified kind. We can, navigate in between these just by doing the simple things like change directory to pictures, list there, what's there. And oh, look, there's 3 folders there. Change directory to Bangor, list there, nothing there. Just go back out. We can, let me go back to the main directory. So we're in my home directory. I can do file with an asterisk, and it's going to show me everything that's in there, which is all of the directories and the 3 ASCII files that are in there. But I can also do file asterisk dot log, and it's those 3 files. If they were looking for text files and did this, they'd get nothing, because the only 3 text files in this one happen to be named with a log file in it. If I was going to do a quick search, I'd do one for both of those. If we found a file, it's like, well, let's take a look at the is output to log. We can do a cat to do the concatenate, which basically is going to take each line of that file and display it on the screen. So that's I know it's just another directory, but remember the other day, we made those log files by basically printing to a file that which we got out of doing a list command. So, those are all the things that would probably take you through most of Module 3. And go.
I'm sorry to be annoying, but I don't think you graded it yet, so I don't know what I got wrong.
Okay, well, then.
Probably everything, but
Oh, Amanda.
Yes.
Don't make me have somebody smack you. You
That's
can't,
fine.
keep putting yourself down.
Hey, that's difficult.
One day you will rule the world. Devin, you had a question?
Yeah. So, could you just do eGript, like text file to find the text files? Because I'm redoing Module 3 right now because I just realized I severely messed up. And it's like killing me right now.
Killing you. Yeah, so, eGript is to, we'll search for a pattern in a file. And if no file is given, then it's going to be recursive. So the problem there is, what are you going to search for? Are you going to search for a particular word? That would be where you could do, let me just make sure I got the syntax right here. So let's go.
Well, it just wants me to obtain like any file from this person's like directory.
Right.
Yes.
Right. No, I know, but you're going to have to give me a second. egrep and grep are ones that have a lot of syntax to them. And if you get it wrong, it crashes my browser, and then you're going to be dumped. I'm going to go to Firefox. I'm just going to type in simple grep examples. The geek stuff. So you could, do a simple grep it's going to look for that particular thing in that particular file. So if you search for this in the demo file, then the lines that it shows up for. But all this does is, in that case, tell you where in a file it's going to be. If you, but we want to do it without giving it a, let me go back to my queue, clear, grep, this. No, sorry, I need the file name. So, this. So, grep. This is output 2-log, and the answer is nothing. But let's look in. Is it just using? I swear my servers are going down, but they don't. In order to just show the document in one text file, what do I use besides going to VI? Remember this. Cat, thank you, there we go. So there's the file. So let's say I wanted to search in a particular file for, so grep documents in is output 2.log. It shows it up on one line. If I did grep documents and left out what file, should come back with all the files that have documents in it. Should.
Yeah, I did that, and every time I do something after grep, it returns like that, and I have to Control-C to get out of that little weird thing.
See if you grep is in there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's why I was wondering, because when I had asked, I was doing grep man instead of man grep, and it was doing that. So.
Yeah. All right, let me go back to man grep. So we can do, all right, we don't care about help, we don't care about version, extending, we don't care about that, we care about that, don't care about that. And patterns for file 1.1, sections used multiple times. Option, search for all kinds of things, use the file. Match. So dash F dash. Okay, let's try that with a hyphen L. Don't you love it? Not at all. See, I don't know if it's just sitting there trying to do more work than it can. Okay. I always forget the name of the file. What's the name of the file?
Yeah, I just tried doing what you're doing and it broke it.
Oh,
That's like wicked red, or is it a blank line? I can't tell. What?
what are we seeing underneath this?
That's purple, and it's
Oh, what's in the background
Is output.log? Is that what it says?
yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. So but all that meant was it's in that file. Well, we only asked it if it was in that file, so it's a piece of irrelevant help. Which is, so that would be different than if we did documents is output 2-log, because that gives us all the information. But the one with just the -L just gave us which file, because the purpose of that one is supposed to be to give us a list of all the documents that have that piece of information in it. Here's another, I'm going to try this one too. So if we do a grep I documents,
Capital D.
Oh, sorry. Oh, would it have helped if I... So
Oh, it doesn't need to be capital D?
the -I tells it to ignore case.
That's why you did it, I guess.
And so, this is that case of, again, where, we go back in and grep and
So for our things, you want us to basically just take the information in the manual and get it into like a consumable few slides.
yes.
So are the slides just things to help us present, or do you want the majority of the information to be on the slides? Because I understand we're uploading them, so are we uploading them so people can access them? Are we uploading them so you can see that we did it, and then it's more the presentation that we're going on?
So what I would like to do on Tuesday, and obviously we have only a couple of hours,
Yeah.
is that I'll open up Noah's, and it's going to be a few slides on grep, and between me asking you questions, or don't forget, because you're not alone, Austin also is doing that one. Then, sorry, Amanda, Austin A. I think it's supposed to be Amanda A.
Oh, is that? Yeah, all right.
Sorry about that. And, only for expedience purposes, because if we have everybody doing a presentation, it will take a long time. But in theory, we should be able to show one or both of your presentations and walk us through a basic understanding of the command line.
Yeah.
And I'd be the first one to tell you, I don't have them memorized. I don't do this often enough, and I'm trying to just stay one step ahead of you. But I'm happy to seed the way, because you will become the experts and I will learn from you. I'm okay with that. Grep and egrep are good ones to know. And I know you can do exactly what you want to do. So if you wanted to find, I've not seen one that says, show me all files that have text in them. And there's a reason for that, because the computer has no idea what text is. It's either binary or ASCII. Those are your two choices. But even in the ASCII world, a lot of what a computer saves is ASCII code, even for the machine-generated, machine-saved parts. And so, well, no, I really don't want the thousands of lines of logged files that the computer generated for all activity on this computer. But if I search for only things that are saved in ASCII characters, I'm going to get those as well. So you might be, you're safer to start off with the things that say, okay, show me only things that say Barker.
Okay.
And that would be the first place to go. And it's either going to be the find command is for file names, and the grep is for inside file names. And one of the grep or egrep character assemblages, and that you could have that hyphen and then a string of characters like L, I, R, X, and you put them all together, and you're basically adding different things that you want grep to do when it's searching for it. What I haven't figured out, what I don't remember, is the wildcard to ask it to look in everything in this directory.
Okay. So every one of those like dash letters is just another parameter that you're adding to the.
Right, except that it's so it would be grep hyphen and then a bunch of letters or one letter that like I is for ignore the case. R should be for recursive, so it's going to look in all the folders. What was it? L? L was for just did it.
So you don't have to hyphen each of these individually. You can just hyphen
you can't. I don't think you can. I think you could try it, but no, it's going for it. And then you've got what it is that you're looking for, and then where are you looking for? And this is the part that we need to find out the wildcards that allow us to look in an entire directory or in an entire machine. Is that you or me?
That's not me.
Well, Noah's looking that up, so I'll make sure it's done.
Oh my.
They wanted me to leave me a message.
I don't know what I did, but it returned some interesting stuff.
Right, so you did grep IRL downloads. And you see downloads of those.
No, I don't know what this is.
Okay, well, so those are all files. So that may be, so I is ignoring case, R is recursive, L is, I forget. So these are all hidden files. So perhaps downloads is found in those files. You can actually go and do a cat of one of those files and see if it pops up.
So.
There's probably downloads in there. You just went by it.
This is just all the code I've ever entered, actually.
Every time you type download, it gets added to there again. But the cool thing with that is that did so you did grep, you did hyphen I, hyphen
R hyphen L.
Hyphen L.
Downloads.
And then just, yeah. Boy, it makes it hard on that. And so what we got was a whole series of files that all have the word download in them. What you're seeing in the Mozilla Firefox, those are all websites that were accessed. So a lot of this is in the cache, and it's in the...
That's why it returns so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if you think about the term downloads, you know, it's,
Yeah,
there are some configure, but they're under the Google Chrome. And then you've got configure Google Chrome, whole bunch of them there. You can imagine how this would be a little bit challenging if we were, but, so if I go up and look at the very top, it is in the test log and it is in the ls output.log. So cool, this did exactly what we were talking about. I'm not sure exactly why it wasn't doing it before. I wonder if maybe missed the R.
Yeah, because last time what do we have? We had grep-i downloads, right? That was it.
Yeah, it could be.
So it's the R and the L that made it work.
Yeah. Let's try this though. Yeah, same thing.
Okay.
So,
I'm sure it's the R.
yeah. Yeah. Oops. See if we can grep -IRL pictures. A lot, again, in Firefox and Godzilla. Mozilla. Sorry. All right, actually a good one would be, I've got -IRL Bangor. Okay, why it showed up in all of those places, you'd have to really go back in and look, except for the time that I searched for the picture and we downloaded something from Bangor, I think, and that was about it.
If you cat each one of those files, it'll return just a bunch of crap.
It should. Cat, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Don't.
Now, you can also do grep. And again, get an awful lot of places that have that was for the, but you can also, you can make it a shorter list. You put a space before and after the word that you're searching for, and still a long list, but there's a difference between this, which is space, the space, and the. Because the will show up as they, their, them, Theopolis, you know, whatever you want. And the is the word the as it would occur. So if we went back and we looked for Barker, the only place we've got it here is in our history, something under the Google Chrome, a log, and you know, what have you. And I'm going to guess it's going to be the same if we put a space in front of that. Nope. So there's nothing at all that has just the word Barker. Let's do a cat of, is that EGL? I can't even read it. Include, what is it? Anybody make that out?
Which one are you specifically?
Third one down. IGLIDON.
I don't even see that. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's a continuation of the one above it, config Google Chrome.
yes,
So.
Dash history.
Oh, it's a bash.
Yep,
yeah.
Cache dash underscore.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. And so someplace in here, oops.
So that just shows all the stuff that you've ever entered
Yep.
in there, and then it'll show you where.
Now you want to do a lot of fun. We can do grep. Forget, how do we do this one? Well, it's not quite the same. Well, I don't know what happened there. Because if we do grep IRL Barker. Oh, it was a short. What did we do different? Grep IRL Barker. Oh, Barker, what did I just do? Why is that different? It should be the exact same, shouldn't it?
The other one returned a bunch, right?
Yeah,
But we had one with spaces and we had one without.
right. Well, this one definitely does not have spaces.
Okay, that's the,
And I can go up, watch. So I'll go up to that original.
I think you passed.
Okay, that was the original.
Yeah.
And it's just returning the shorter list now. So I'm not sure. You got me. But you'll notice, so what you're seeing there did get written by using the grep IRL. I'll do a different one this time. To Pickford dot text. And then list. And if I want, I can look at that and go to cat Pickford dot text. And there it is. If for nothing else, the color's better.
Yeah.
So if you're using grep and you start looking at the defaults, color is one of the things you can set.
Okay.
So
So not purple on gray.
Oh gosh, yes, that would be nice. All right, so again, you've got your homework. I know we're supposed to be up through module 5. Just keep working on that the best you can. But for Tuesday, I would like us all to have picked one of the, well, don't pick one, you have one picked for you. That is what you'll have to do for Tuesday. And I think that's probably good enough unless you've got questions.
Just real quick,
Yes,
with
sir.
the homework, since
Yeah.
I noticed that there's 2 people typically per subject for command.
Yeah.
Does that mean we do that slide together or no?
If you know them and you want to work together, that's fine, but the intent was for you to just do it. So there's no teamwork required.
I don't like people.
Yes, Amanda, we know. You'll spit at anybody. I get it.
Yes, and I'll just do the work and whatever.
That's fine. And that's what I was expecting. But if you happen to be roommates with somebody here and they're doing it, or I don't care.
Hell no.
I can tell Amanda does not like anybody in the class. We understand.
Rip.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Wait,
stink in the social word.
Who's teamed up with me?
Nobody is. They aren't teams. I only picked 8 functions and there's 16 of you. So I gave each function got 2 people to work on it. So,
Okay.
So there, Amanda, you should be doing the file command, and Zarbi is also doing the file command, but you don't have to do it together.
That's good.
And last question, do we have until Tuesday to make sure we're all catched up with everything?
Well, do what you can. Don't try not to get too far behind because it will bite you eventually. We're gonna have to have a test pretty soon here, what week is this, 3 or 4?
3. This is the end of 3, so we're going to
Okay,
4.
yeah.
Hey, is it like in class and written?
What is?
The test.
The test.
The final will be.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
We're just going to submit it to EMCC like all the other tests that we have in other classes. Just unlock it for us when we're in class.
Well, so there's a couple of possibilities. The Cengage has a built-in testability, and I have not yet gotten to the point where I can set that up. I know in what's the one we used last semester?
Mind-Tab.
Yeah, the Mind-Tab. That allowed me to go through and pick which questions I wanted, and if I can do that, I'll just leave it on.
Well, it is Mind-Tab. We're still using Mind-Tab. CEngage uses Mind-Tab.
No, Pearson. We were using Pearson View.
You're right. That's why.
Yep.
Which one do I have Mind-Tab for then?
Yep.
My HTML class. Never mind. That's a different class.
The final will be based on stuff that we've had in the sessions and in the classes. There shouldn't be any surprises, but the exercise, on Tuesday, hopefully we'll pick up a lot of those nuances. Everybody should be taking the one that they have. Like Amanda, if you've got file, you should be able to, on Linux, be able to use that file command any number of ways with all of its little, hyphen whatevers and get it to work. If not, pop onto YouTube, pop onto Google and find some good examples. I'd start simple and work up, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
So don't just do book learning.
I don't like that.
Yeah, make sure you go through on your terminal and that they work there as well.
Okay.
I think
PowerPoint, man.
Yeah, like I said, if you feel like you need more than 5 slides, fine, but don't come in with just 1 or 2, because most of these have far more variables than that. Anyway, that should get you going.
Perfect. All right.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Oh, come on. Class ended early. That means I have
You
to go to
too.
work.
Same. Have a good day.
Do your homework,
Okay.
Amanda.
Oh, yeah, true. All right. Bye-bye.
We'll see you.